Hello and welcome to episode 62 of the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe, and as always, I'm joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by Drummer Bum. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you lovely gents today?
I'm doing okay. I haven't slept, but that's fine. I'm hoping to get some kind of manic energy going in the next 5 minutes, or I'm going to crash. I don't know which.
Ooh, I live off that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Matt?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Snipe?
What? I'm fine. I'm about... See, like, you know that thing where if you stay up and don't sleep, you're bad. But if you have, like, 2 hours sleep, you're fucking way worse.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of me. But that's okay, because I get to hang out with you guys, which is always super fun. Yeah, even if I'm feeling sleepy.
And even if we're bored of each other after the last week.
I'm really not. I'm really not.
I mean,
yes,
I'm not bored of you guys. It's fine.
I mean, I'm not bored of you guys.
We have seen quite a bit of each other over the last week, it is true.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Drummer's back.
If you did not know, fuck off, ambulance.
If you didn't know anyone, fuck off. You don't deserve to listen.
We don't want you here, ambulance. We don't like the ambulance segment of our audience, apparently.
Because, if you did not know, our band had our yearly gig thing that we do.
Yeah, which is apparently a thing that we do now.
Apparently.
I like doing that thing. That's fun.
Yeah.
We played at our friend band's
Hobo band
10th anniversary. And so we all got together again and...
got really tired of standing up a lot, so we went and sat down and felt old for a good while.
Well, yeah, that did happen, but but shockingly, we managed to play all of those songs what we wrote, and we only forgot about 10% of them, which is I think pretty good odds.
And
honestly.
we only had like 87% of the time spent on stage dealing with technical difficulties.
I mean, yeah, there was a few, but it wasn't that bad.
I'd say it was the worst for technical difficulties we have ever had in the history of like 11 years. And I'm including any gig with Dicko. Where he's like, oh yeah, so what I've done, I'm neck bending, and I accidentally like shoved the guitar like headstock in my bum.
I don't know.
That happened actually on stage once.
I don't think that happened on stage once.
That
I think that might
happened.
have been a dream that you had, or it's another one of your lies.
Okay.
Well, actually, I think it's just something that happened at Dicko's house that he told us about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely has happened at some point.
Yeah, but I'm just
without
saying,
a doubt.
I'm just saying on stage,
But
or
yeah,
at least
not
on
on
stage
stage.
with us. I mean, maybe he has a private affair that he puts on for a select few, and that he does that in some kind of, gentleman's club or something. I don't know. But
Maybe. I'm not going to judge Dicko.
no, I'm not going to judge him or his clientele. Just, this is what he does. Apparently now.
Yeah. What's weird is that the headstock got stuck on the way out. He actually put it headstock last in his bum.
Well, sealed up.
Yeah. A couple of viewers came down and had a hang out with us, Unity and Pyro. That was super fun.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
Yes, hello. And thank you for my awesome model of me. I can't wait to paint that. That's so cool.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun to play again. Honestly, I don't realise how much I miss playing on stage until we do it again. So hurry up and come back to the country permanently, Matthew, please. Not least because, you're nice. Fuck off.
You are such a son.
But why must everything be loud on the road today? Fuck off!
You were saying, dear? Before you told the cars to fuck off? Like a normal human being?
It's probably because I'm tired. I'm hypersensitive to the sound now.
Yeah.
Also, Drummer Matt, this might be a very personal question, but did you present those kitty ears that Shayna's got you to Ruth?
Possibly.
Has she taken them off yet? Is she allowed to remove them?
They're in the pile of shame at the moment.
Have you done this before? Is there like a pile of like, I don't know, like pony, like actual like pony play items and like, I don't know, like those weird donuts that you sit on for long car journeys? It's not my pile of shame. I'm not judging you.
It's an inquiry, not a judgment.
Yeah, god dang. Everyone's so sensitive.
Seriously though, what was her reaction when she was given them?
I think mostly passive indifference. Just like, to be honest.
It's like, oh, okay, onto the pile.
This is why I don't have anything to do with that internet thing.
Pretty much.
To be fair, yeah, that's fair.
Oh, bless her. But yeah, as I say, you were over last week.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw each other a fair bit, and we played a bunch of games of 40k, which is very unlike us, actually playing the game that we talk about all the time.
Yeah, what the fuck is up with that?
So that was a lot of fun. Had a chance to play some interesting games.
My favourite. Because, Jerome, Matt, you play Tau.
Yes.
Nobody's perfect.
As mentioned, the pile of shame.
Is that where all the tower underneath the kitty is?
I like them, but other people seemingly less so.
I'm just busting your balls, don't worry. And I'm, playing the best army ever, Space Wolves.
Yeah.
We thought we'd have a bit of an asymmetrical game in the way that I took my Imperial Knight.
I took my army, basically.
His army, basically. And that was really fun. I mean, I was the knight player, so I'm probably liable to say that. But
It must be nice only having to remember one stat line.
it was so nice. Although it is really cool, because I didn't really know much about like running knights before. But it's like, because I have 24 wounds on mine, which is...
Yeah, it's like standard for the, what are they called? The Questoris or something like that is what that frame of knight is called.
I believe you.
Because there's the little ones that are like the
Little bib.
Helverin ones, that are the little ones.
Yeah, the baby ones.
Although they've got a proper name that I always forget. That's the name for the shooty ones. And then there's the bigger ones.
Yeah.
The frames have like a particular name, and then there's the different versions of them. It's
Yeah.
weird.
But yeah, and it's actually interesting, because once you get down to like 12 wounds... you lose a couple of points off your ballistic skill and your weapon skill, and you lose some inches off your speed. Because, like, standard knight speed is, like, I think it's, like, +3 for, like, weapon skill, ballistic skill, and it's, like, 12-inch speed. And you just keep, there's, like, a drop-off, and I think when you get down to, like, 6 points, it's, like, really bad.
Yeah, a lot
Which
of
I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, a lot of vehicles do have that in 8th edition. I think it's just you don't have any of the vehicles that do that. so
I'm
you
a
don't
dreadnought
encounter
gal.
it.
I don't give a damn.
Yeah,
So.
I mean,
The Contemptor Dreadnoughts, I think, have that. But just what you've got a load of standard Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, I do.
Well, I say standard, I mean the old-fashioned ones, and yeah.
I mean, me and you were saying before the fight, we were saying, actually, that's good that it does that, though, because otherwise... like, if the fight's relatively even, halfway through the fight, half of my army would have been gone, but you would have still had everything. Because unless you kill it, it's all there. So the fact that it actually gets a bit less powerful does balance out the fact that you're slowly or less slowly killing off my dudes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but no, I did think that was a lot of fun, because it was so just daft. Because we matched points.
Yeah, I just want to say I had a bit of a... it wasn't quite a dig at PowerPoints at all, but I didn't sound too complimentary on them just when I was flicking through the rulebook. But actually playing it, okay, they're quite good. I mean, they have massive issues. There is issues with them if you want it to be exactly balanced. Like, for example, we'll mention later, but we found out that my Pathfinders, which are the, like, scouty type Tau dudes, you can give them quite a powerful gun, which in real points... 3 guns costs more than 10 Pathfinders, so 10 dudes. But in PowerPoint, it doesn't cost anything extra to give them.
And thus they are broken and need to be killed immediately.
So there's a few things like that. But actually, I actually quite like PowerPoint. And we had 3 or 4 fights while I was back, and we were just like, oh, let's do this fight. Oh, let's do it quickly. Oh, we'll just use PowerPoints. And it was it was quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it takes barely any time to sort out. So
Yeah,
it does definitely have its advantage.
So yeah, I take back my ever so slight dig last time. And I was actually quite impressed. Because it was, all the fights we had were relatively fair-ish. Like, they weren't completely one-sided.
I mean, even the knight versus, like, your Tau, Like, by the end of it, I mean, spoiler alert, I just about managed to win after, like...
You say just about managed to win. You had like a third of your... Well, more than a third of your wounds left.
To be fair...
Well, you had 8 wounds left out of 24, I think.
Yeah.
So I was just about to drop into the lowest rung, which is like, you know...
Yeah, I think
a little bit
it would have gone differently, but I think your first turn of the game, you shot and took out my broadside.
Yeah, I used my it's like a Gatling cannon.
Yeah, the Avenger Gatling cannon. I think
yeah, and that is like you get 12 shots.
Yeah,
and it's like strength 8, I think, and it's just I rolled really well and took out a broadside immediately first turn.
Yeah,
and I'm very glad I did
because if that had one hit on you, that could have done D6 wounds, which would have made it really close by the end, even if I just got one shot off.
Yeah, so I kind of tipped the scales immediately by just lucking out and destroying the one biggest problem for me. But that was still a fun game.
I was also glad that I managed to have a couple of games with my new Space Marine army, which is the first time I've played with the Space Marine army in a long-ass time.
No one's perfect.
Like, a Space Marine army with normal Marines in it, because the only Space Marine army I've played with since, like, 1999... has been a Deathwing army, and then everything else has been like orcs or whatever. So I've not played with just a Marine army with Marines in it, so that's been.
You say you had normal Marines. You had a less than normal Dreadnought.
Well, yeah, I was using my Rogue Trader Dreadnought.
Because of course you were using a Rogue Trader Dreadnought.
Well, if you've got one, you've got to use it.
Says the man who literally threw himself onto buses to get one.
I didn't really. I just looked out. I just keep an eye on eBay all the time.
All the time,
forever.
You're doing it now.
And eventually, I managed to come across a Rogue Trader era Dreadnought that was selling for under a tenner. And so snap that up, because normally they go for like minimum of 25 quid or something.
All right, you absolute hipster.
So yeah. That actually reminds me. I was actually thinking. And this is me sort of floating the idea out there to see if anyone bites. I was thinking of maybe putting together a video of doing like comparisons of the scales of Marines like over the years, because at this point
they've gotten very tall.
Well, we've got a fair selection from all the way from Rogue Trader up to 8th, and the difference between the two of them, between ones from the start and now, is quite startling. But if you put them in a lineup of all the things that came in between them, it's like this nice smooth gradient with just a tiny bump, with just a bit of a bump where Primaris come in.
You could make a graph.
Yeah, and I'd be intrigued if anyone would be interested in seeing a video like that. Because there's a few things I'd want to get painted up first before doing that, but... me saying I need to paint something is basically saying don't expect the video in the next year, but...
I guess if it wasn't a very long video with just them, you could do orcs and grots and things which you've got as well, which are similar things happen to.
I did actually pick up some Rogue Trader plastic orcs a little bit ago. So that's a thing.
We picked up some Space Crusade orcs.
I do have some Space Crusade orcs. Yeah. The grots.
They're not quite grots because they're taller than orcs.
They're taller than most Space Marines. They're sort of like jumping in the air, so it does make them look taller than they are. But
they long boys.
They are pretty big, the Space Crusade grots. They are legitimately bigger than orcs of that era. Mm-hmm. It's a bit weird.
So weird.
Yeah.
Long grots.
Yeah. But yeah, who knows? I might do a video like that. I thought that might be that might be an interesting idea. I just wanted to see if anyone would be interested in seeing that.
Yeah, I guess.
I'll
watch it.
You'll watch it because you won't have a choice. Because you'll feel obligated, because I'll be like, hey wife, I made this thing, and you'll go, well, I have to watch it, otherwise he'll feel bad about it. And
no, I'll watch it because I love and support you and want to see what you're doing, and I'm really proud. Jerk.
I'm not sure about that, honestly. Anyway, let's move on from this awkwardness and talk about what we've been doing. So, I'll hand over to the Matthew. Matthew, what have you been doing?
Well, first I feel like I'm in trouble because you called me Matthew.
Yeah. Matthew Delicious Drummer Butt. This reminds me how like we became super obsessed with the idea of your middle name being delicious.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is. So
I mean, it is, but then like you tried to change it on Facebook, and they were like, no, you can't." And it's like, wow, thanks, fashy book, because they're fascists.
They won't let you have delicious as a middle name.
no, and yeah, at the same time, real life lets Chris Evans have Ping and Pong as his child's names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, we can't have...
But delicious
like,
apparently
delicious.
is completely outrageous.
Delicious is stupid. It's completely ridiculous. That's dumb.
I can't help
but
being
yeah,
delicious.
Exactly. Drama Matt's so delicious.
Anywho.
You can't help it.
Yes, moving on.
Yeah, so since we last recorded, we had visitors for a week, and then I've been home for a week, so I haven't had that much time. But I did squeeze in before I left a quick new game that I bought the other day, which it was on sale, but I bought it entirely with the Steam trading card money, so
Yes.
bonus. Kingdoms and Castles.
Oh, yes.
It is, for those that don't know, it's sort of like, we spoke quite a bit, or Snipe spoke quite a bit about Banished a fair while ago. As it's a sort of, you start off with a few villages and a house or two, and you expand into have like a big village, then town, and so on. It's kind of a version of that. It's a similar sort of thing, like top-down, I guess, sort of strategy, survival, expanding a village type thing.
A city builder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like an old school city builder, so obviously not at all like City Skylines or...
So not good.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
No,
I can
not
tell
that.
you've not had much sleep, you cranky buff.
I
Ignore him.
jest.
It's so the graphic style is like a lot of because I think it's relatively indie, made by a couple of guys, I think. And apologies if not, but it seems that way, and that's sort of a compliment, not an insult. So sorry if it is like a AAA developer and it just looks like it's made by a few guys. I guess that makes it an insult, but it wasn't meant that way.
That's their aesthetic. If that's the
But
case.
it's got that aesthetic of slightly blocky and slightly not like detailed models and things. Just that's the aesthetic they're going for. But it's somehow, at a glance, it seems like it's like Banished, but more simple. Like there's less stuff to sort of micromanage. But then actually there does seem to be some more buildings that seem to interact with things, with each other. And then you also get like raiders, you get like Viking raiders and dragons which come. So you also have to build like defense towers and city walls, and so it's sort of simultaneously less in depth but also more in depth than Banished.
So that sounds like the city builder equivalent of like a MOBA, where bear with me, people at home. With that description,
Yeah, but no, it's not. It doesn't lean that. It doesn't lean that heavily into the defense side of things. But it's just enough to sort of you've got to think about it a bit.
Well, that's what I meant. Like, so how MOBAs are mechanically, there's actually not a whole lot to them. You just got a few basic things you can do, but how they interact with various other things may give it a surprising depth that completely consumes people.
Yeah, and I've only played for like an hour or two, so I've not got to. So I haven't quite got to like end game stuff. So I don't know how in depth how deep the rabbit hole goes, so to speak. But seeing as it's the only thing I played, I thought I'd mention it early.
It's probably worth mentioning, yes.
But the amount that I was thinking about it after I stopped playing suggests that I'm going to get back into it quite easily.
It's always a good sign. It's always a good sign when you're sitting there going, maybe if I did this. Like you're kind of solving problems that have arisen in your head when you're not playing
the main problem I found with my strategy is because I thought, because when you first start, you start with like a keep. So I put that on a nice little peninsularly sticky out bit. I was like, I'll put it here, and then you have to build one wall to defend, and it'll be great. And then it turns out that the Vikings can swim. Because I was like, it's a video game.
Holy shit.
People can't go in water because water is acid and fire at the same time and kills you immediately.
I hate fire, water, acid. This is the worst.
But no, the Vikings just swim around your walls, so they land and then they're like, oh yeah, you've got a wall around here. I'll just go around where there isn't a wall. I was like, oh. And I don't think you can
plus
move your
points
keep.
for trying a bold strategy, but
So, well, that's the state of video games with water is that such that I didn't even, it wasn't even a strategy that I thought about.
Yeah.
It was just completely subconscious. Oh, I'll build it here,
R.I.P.
and then there's only one way
Romance
in.
Keep, because he forgot that Vikings can swim.
But that's not a thing.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they also
like
have
the idea
boats,
that
but they don't
them
land the
landing
boats
the
there
boats
usually,
like
but-
a good few miles down on a beach, and then eventually getting to your wall, and they're going, "Fuck, in the ocean, lads! Come on, let's go."
But from my only hour or two of playing it, I double thumbs up so far. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying it as much as I enjoyed Banished. I'm just hoping... Well, maybe not quite. I think Banished is probably better for most of it, but then Banished at some point just hits a complete wall out of nowhere with basically nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping
that is
that
a big
this...
problem with it.
It might not be quite as good for quite a while, but I'm hoping it sort of goes on a bit more. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, that sounds cool.
But yeah, I recommend if you fancy something like Banished, sort of city buildery type thing, but just want to change from Banished. It was only... I think I got it at 25% off and it was less than a fiver or something. I can't remember. But yeah, recommend. And it's quite just... Yeah, quite
What was it
colourful
called
and
again?
nice. Kingdoms and Castles,
Cool.
I think. Although I might have wrote that from memory, so it might be actually something slightly different. It's probably that, but to be honest, it's quite a generic name.
I'd love the idea if it was like, oh, it's Kingdom and Castle, and its name was like build a thing to defend from Vikings that can swim.
That's its name.
Yes.
Something daft.
It is called Kingdoms and Castles. I thought I'd check, that thing
okay, good.
that you should have done.
It's fine.
Yeah, and then that's my notes for what I've done the last 2 weeks lists. Kingdoms and Castles, gig, and that's my notes. So yeah,
Okay.
I've got bugger all.
That's fine.
Who's up next?
So Snipe, what have you been up to?
I saw a really scary picture of a dog today.
Oh.
You know, when we were writing the notes for what we were going to mention in the podcast, and you said, write down that I saw a scary dog on Reddit, and I said no.
Yeah.
I just mentioning that out,
Okay.
apropos of
It
nothing.
was really scary though. You saw it? It was scary.
It was not that scary. Can we
was
please
really
move on to
scary.
something that does not require people to have seen a particular image?
Okay, guys, just look for really scary dog on Google, and it's like this white pit bull looking dog sitting on a couch.
Okay, what
And
did
it's
you
fucking
do?
scary.
What have you done before this morning?
That's a great question. I've been watching some animes. Just like my Japanese anime.
Yeah, we got Crunchyroll again.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
because of Mob Psycho 100, basically. Because, Wib watched... Because Mob Psycho 100, the live-action version, which is that is always a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to
Live-action anime is never a good idea.
I wanted to give it a watch because I really like Mob Psycho 100, and I was like, I wonder how bad the live action one is. And I watched an episode of it and went, it's pretty bad.
I will say the only adaptation I've really seen that was okay was Erased, which is pretty good.
I haven't seen neither the live action nor the anime.
That's fair.
So
That's fair.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's quite... Usually the porn version of something is better than the actual effort that they put into the live-action version of something.
You
Which-
are not wrong, and that's
which
what
Which
frightens me.
does not bode well for anything.
But yeah, actually, the thing is, when we were watching the live action Mob Psycho, it got to the Body Improvement Club,
And I rage quit.
and you were like,
I was like, these guys aren't muscular enough.
like these guys should be great, and so I was like, look, let's just.
Because you always, that's what Wib has, that's the lasso that he has verbally thrown around me to get me into Mob Psycho 100.
And you
It's the Body Improvement Club.
You refused to watch it until you saw the bad version of it and went, no, I need to see the good version now. So we started
until
watching
I saw the
anime.
Body Improvement Club and I was like, these guys aren't nearly muscular enough. I am so outraged.
Because I just showed you a
I'm
picture of
gonna
them.
restart my Crunchyroll subscription just so I can look at muscular anime boys. I wish that wasn't actually what happened, but that's literally what happened.
Mob Psycho 100 is really good. Go watch the anime.
Yeah, it's actually, I've been really enjoying the anime. It's really fun. How would you describe it? You're better at this than me.
It's by the guy that did One Punch Man, and
You can tell because it looks exactly like it.
it's kind of the same story as One Punch Man, except he has superpower, like psychic powers, rather than able to punch good.
Yes. But he tries to be able to punch good.
Actually, honestly, there is some superficial similarities, but it is quite a bit different, and especially where it goes is quite a bit different. But it's interesting, and what I really like is how you have this somewhat surreal situation where there is character. So to give a general premise, there's a kid called Mob, and he's basically got god tier psychic powers. He's absurdly powerful, but he wants to be more than that. But he's basically being exploited by this fake medium. But at the same time, this guy also gives him like fantastic advice and actually kind of looks out for him. So little things like he'll say, "So yeah, you are born with these psychic powers." Well, actually, he says, "We have these psychic powers." He doesn't. But we have these powers, and but that doesn't make us better than other people. Like, these are just things that we're gifted with. It's no different than just being better at sports than other people or whatever. You know, go out and, basically better yourself and do something you actually earned rather than, just rely on the things you were just handed. It's like he ends up like being this remarkably positive effect on his life despite being an exploitative shithead.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of interesting. But yeah, no, I can wholly recommend Mob Psycho.
Also, the Body Improvement Club are so fucking cool.
They're just a bunch of big jacked
They're
dudes.
just like a bunch of super jacked guys who were just super into like getting muscular and being fit. And like he joins like this is I love them so much, and this is why I wanted to watch it. And Mob joins the Body Improvement Club, and they're super stoked to have him. And he's like, he sucks at running. He can barely lift anything. He's just all around terrible, like, athletically. And they are still super proud of him for just trying, and they're so supportive and wonderful. I'm like, I love my beautiful sons. They're so wonderful.
Yeah,
It's just so refreshing to see like super like muscly boys, like boy people who aren't jerks about it. They're just like, and like there's a part where someone tries to rope them into a school fight, and they're like, no, we don't get jacked for like so we can be violent and push people around. Fuck you, man. And I'm just like, I love these guys are so great. They're so fucking cool. So yeah, go watch Mob Psycho 100. Also, I watched some of the Junji Ito collection, which is, they've turned a few Junji Ito stories into anime. For those of you who don't know, Junji Ito is an incredibly prolific horror manga author. He's got some very out there, spooky stories. Like, I can't remember the name of it, but there's one that involves weird metal, like, endoskeletons that will just attach to corpses, and then everything is powered by farts.
Yeah, I always forget the name of that one.
Yeah, I think it's like Gao or something. It's called Gyo, that's the one.
Oh.
And like they literally just spew fart gas everywhere, and it's like in the story, it's like, oh yeah, it's been like a few years since the fart gas animals have just farted everywhere, and it's just stinks so bad in Japan. Like, he's walking around in the street and it's just like, wow, God, it's so farty. Oh, it's not very nice at all.
It's a very farty place right now.
Yeah. There's like another one which is where there's like a bunch of people make a suicide pact, and then they all nearly die, and then one of them coughs up a marble that's like this beautiful stone. And it's basically like they all have, because they came very close to death, they all have like holes in them that basically lead to the underworld, where all these gems come out, and people are like, oh, well, fuck gold and diamonds, this is where it's at. And it's like, they're like the souls of people, and they're really pretty, and just weird shit keeps happening. Yeah.
In short, Junji Ito is weird.
He has some like very, very unique ideas, and they are incredibly interesting. So, the first one is like, it's like, can't remember what it's called. Well, it's about some creepy-ass fucking kid who keeps cursing people by nailing dolls of them to cedar trees and shit like that. And it's just not very good. Because, I mean, like, with Japanese media, it is quite refreshing, but it is also, like, can be quite jarring with the way they structure stories. So it is kind of fun when it'll literally just start and it'll be like, this is the way it is. Like, oh, there's like some guy sitting there smoking a pipe looking out of his window and his daughter's like, Daddy, why won't you look at me, Daddy? And he turns around and she's a fucking doll. And he's like, damn it. The doll curse has taken her. A lot of other people just burn their children when the doll curse takes over. We decided not to. And then it just fucking ends as if it's sitting there going, oh yeah, you don't know about the doll curse affecting these people's children? Fuck you.
Is this a specific thing you're referencing? Was this in the show?
This is in the show, yeah.
Okay.
This is actually a thing.
Okay.
It's like the last 5 minutes of the first episode.
Okay.
It's just like, there's a cute like little girl, like she's like 13 or 14 and she's just suddenly a doll. And then they're like, yes, most parents like burn their children when they go all dolly. We won't. We'll just leave her in the chair. And then she turns into this big, pustule, kind of like filled, twisted creature. And then they kind of stand there going, I can see why people burn their children when they become dolls.
Okay.
And it just fucking ends. And you're like, okay.
Are each of the episodes like a separate story?
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's very much like the manga.
So it's sort of a what's the word for it? Is a word where it's like not compilation, but it's like a group of smaller stories all
like
grouped into one series.
Collection, one might say.
Well, yeah, there's a proper word for it. It's completely slipped my mind.
I'm not sure, but yeah, it's basically like that. I mean, to be fair, the manga is kind of like there's one that is kind of spooky. Oh god,
is this an episode or a manga?
This is a manga, and it's like I'm kind of wishing they might have done this one, but I'm not sure. I only watched a few, where there's this big this big mountain is split in half, and there's all these like people shapes, like T poses, in the rock, like fucking hundreds of them. So people start just basically on these weird pilgrimages to go and see, and when they get there, they're all kind of like. They all have this weird supernatural draw to them, and they're like, I have to find mine.
Okay.
And so, like, there's this guy, and he kind of, like, he meets this guy, this lady, and there's another guy there as well. And, like, one of them is just, like, he comes back, and he's like, I found my hole. And then, like, he just disappears. And I know that sounds really funny, but it's actually
a lot of men
quite
do
spooky.
disappear when they find their hole.
Yeah, okay. Dicko, for starters.
Yeah, he disappeared for like a solid month once he found his hole.
He was like the human Taurus, as in Taurus, the donut shape.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, and it's like, I won't really spoil it, but there's like, people keep disappearing and being like, I found my shape. And like it is really good. It's spooky and really weird.
Do you know what it's called?
No.
Oh.
I can't remember because I'm fucking terrible. But there's like he does like all sorts of things like that where like some of them are quite short. Like there's a guy who just won't come out of his bed and then he just basically rots and joins with his bed. Because he just didn't want to come out, and it's body horrible kind of garbage. But
it's a lot of his stuff body horror. Because I've not really read any. I've just kind of consumed.
A good half of it is.
Yeah, I just kind of consumed bits of him through you and popular culture.
Yeah.
Like.
No, yeah, I would recommend people read Junji Ito if they're into like horror, and like some of the imagery is terrifying. Like just he's really good at drawing really gross fleshy masses, which is not pleasant to look at, but it really sells the horror. But yeah, no, I should probably watch some more, because I don't think they brought the A grade for the first couple, because there's like the fashion model where it's just this really weird Gaku no handsome woman, which is a really good anime everyone should watch, because it's a piss take on like dating harem games.
And it looks like it's from, like, DeviantArt circa 2004.
Yeah. So you've got, like, purple-haired Sephiroth with a fucking 9-inch chin that goes down to a perfect point. It's amazing. But yeah, so, yeah, I'm really not sold. Like, the animation is... It's like, it's tried to copy his style, because he uses a lot of, like, cross-hatching and a lot of deep, dark shadows in his art. And... yeah, doesn't quite translate very well, especially because I don't think they spent very much money on it, which is weird, especially attached to a name as prolific as Junji Ito. But whatever. Yeah. I hope it gets better, but I'm probably not going to see.
You're probably not going to watch anymore.
No, I'll probably just read some more manga, honestly. I think that's pretty much everything I've been doing, apart from being really tired and doing so much work for the D&D campaign that I'm going to DM.
Yeah, building up to that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I've sort of mostly got my character in order, so...
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm
Ash,
happy.
because like the players, Matt, Wib, and our friend Ash, who plays Talus from our main D&D group.
Yeah, it's going to be just a little group, so it's going to be interesting.
Because Sarah's doing this whole thing where she's like, having a baby.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, how hard could it... No, seriously. So that's all I've been up to. So, Wibbo,
Yes?
Hubbo, what you been up to?
What have I been up to? A couple of things. I beat the Surge, because I've mentioned that a couple of times in the last few podcasts I've mentioned. I've just been slowly chipping away at it. Finally beat it. I found out there's only actually 5 bosses in the base game.
Okay.
Which is fortunate, because most of them suck.
Yeah, because you've done 2 or 3 bosses, I think it was, last time you spoke about it, and you said they were all really gimmicky and a bit just not good.
Yeah,
communicate to the player and all that.
It kind of got to a point, like with the 4th boss, where it starts off as just a straight up fight against the guy, and I could not have been happier. And then halfway through the fight, he just starts summoning copies of the very first boss in the game.
How to know that the game devs just sat there and went, the fuck do we make this challenging?
Yeah, but by that point, I honestly, when it came, I would not look up guides on anything until it came to the bosses. When I go and look up how to beat them, because I just I don't give a shit about the bosses. Is quite simply it. I found them annoying to fight, but the general game itself, I actually really, really, really like. Just the exploration, slowly unlocking shortcuts. I can't remember if I mentioned this in the last podcast.
Yeah, you
but
were
it's
saying
like,
you sort of... Yeah.
It's structured like Demon Souls more than Dark Souls. Like little areas that sort of zoned off that you have one checkpoint with, and you have to gradually like unlock shortcuts back to until you've got this kind of spider's web of different paths leading to all areas within it. Interesting variant in the last area, which does actually have some of the worst design, unfortunately, in terms of level design. But it does have an interesting idea that's not done in a Souls game, which is you have a bonfire equivalent that is literally on an elevator that you pull to different parts of the level for where you need it.
Well, that's cool.
Rather than just having a traditional shortcut, which is an interesting way of going about it. Having played the full game, like the final boss itself, I actually kind of liked, because it was a 2-phase fight, but it wasn't really gimmicky. It was just fight a big bloke, and then you do something, and then he becomes a man-sized bloke, and you just fight him.
A bloke-sized bloke.
Fight him. Yeah, a bloke-sized
Bloke-sized man.
And yeah, you just have kind of a straight up fight, and it was one of those. It was like the boss where I was like, no, I'm down with this, and I just went at it and took him down and beat the game.
Yeah.
Then our good friend Longfang, once I said I'd beaten it on Twitter, went and gifted me the DLC,
Because he spoils your rocks.
which meant I had to go and beat the first part of the game again, because I'd already gone into New Game Plus.
Oh, it was awful. He hated every minute of it.
It's shocking how quickly you can get through the game when you know exactly what you're doing. So I've gone into the DLC now. And have been playing around in that, which is actually really good.
Theme park DLC.
Yeah, it's like a theme park. It's pretty fun. You fight mascots, and you can get a giant donut head to wear, which is pretty great. One thing I will say is, I'm just going to put ahead of this spoilers for the next minute and a half. So skip forward if you don't want to hear something from towards the end of the game. So there's bits of small storytelling that's kind of great in it. There's a guy you see, and if you saw a video on it, or you've seen, I did a stream of it a little while back, you'll occasionally run across monitors where there's this guy who looks straight out of an Apple commercial.
He's Captain Corporate, trying to act as if, they give a fuck about the little guy.
Yeah, it's like, here at Creo,
we're absolute sluts for, helping you out.
For innovation, we want to just help the world. He's doing this whole spiel.
He's walking at you at an angle, so he's trying to sell you something.
And you actually find him in a green screen room where he's killed himself, and he leaves, basically his suicide note. And on the wall, you see various things like journalism awards. And I don't know if... I obviously, this is like kind of reading into it, and I don't know if this was 100% their intention, but it kind of strikes me as that he was a real journalist who had won these awards, and what he was doing now was he had basically completely sold out to do that, and that is like a source of shame because he sits there and says, I helped them sell a lie. And it's like that little bit of thing there, like that is, the journalism awards on the wall, that's a very Dark Souls-y style of storytelling, of just insinuating and letting you work things out or postulate onto what it could mean. But yeah, there's a lot of little bits that do really good like that. But the overall story is an absolute goddamn mess. There's like a million different things that it's juggling. It's like, oh yes, this is part of Project Resolve, or oh no, this is part of Project Utopia. Oh no, there's actually this fucking nanomachines. It's just a fucking bunch of shit.
Nanomachines, son.
And it doesn't, like, so much of it, like, you're sitting there at the end of it and going, like, you see, if I'd have seen all this information at once, I might have been able to parse it, but, like, chipping through this over the course of weeks, I'm completely lost as to what's going on with certain things. I'm like, so, what even was Project Resolve? What happened? What? Like, it's just very easy to get confused by. I'm not the only one, apparently. I've seen some other people going, like, I don't know what was supposed to happen. Like, there's a bit later on where you have to put something in a rocket and send it off. Well, you don't actually... It looks like you're putting it in a rocket, but I think you're actually putting it in a server. But and I was like, there's a bit where I got really lost in there because I was saying this is a bit that's like got a bit shitty design in places. And I was looking up how to deal with that, and lots of people were like sitting there going like, oh, so I did this thing for some reason. Like, no one seems to know why they did the thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one that kind of lost track of the story at this point.
Yeah.
But for all my little complaining about those kind of things, like, yeah, I do genuinely quite enjoy the game, and even though I complain about the bosses, it's more that I find that kind of fight annoying. But there's only 5 of them in the base game, and there's only 2 in the DLC. The first one is absurdly easy. Almost insultingly so, because it's just...
Once you get it...
Well, because
it doesn't really inform the player. That's my biggest problem.
Oh, no, well, this one is nothing to do with that. He's just a guy. He fights like everyone else in the game.
Is he like a bloke-sized man, though?
He's a bloke-sized man.
Alright.
Yeah, and you just fight him, which I'm fine with, but, like, he doesn't really have any special things he can do, being a boss.
He's John Blokeman.
He just has a lot more health and hits a little bit harder than the regular guys you're fighting. And I kind of beat him, and it was like, oh, is that the boss? Oh, all right. I guess that's a thing.
Quit bragging.
But yeah, I have really enjoyed it, and yeah, even though they're like, because there is only 5 bosses, it means that even if you don't particularly like the bosses, they're fairly minor, and a couple of them are okay.
I mean, I'd say that bosses are probably... They are, like, big... They are crescendos in a game. So I'd say it's just having 5 bosses... That feels to me like, yeah, you know, it's like... The movie was great, but the beginning, midpoint, and end are terrible.
I think the thing is that because they had so few bosses, they wanted to make them memorable, and that's why most of them are pretty gimmicky. Which is, it is a pity. It is like the part where it kind of breaks down.
And it's just Souls-like games in general.
Yeah, but the last boss is alright. Yeah. So it doesn't... I think if the last boss was like a really shitty boss, if it was like... I think it's... What is it called? It's like Big Sister or something. She's like the 3rd boss, and he's just crap and annoying. If that had been the final boss, then it would have left a real sour taste in my mouth. But because the last boss was probably the one I enjoyed fighting the most,
I mean,
it kind of like made it better. And the bits in between the bosses, I enjoyed enough to kind of go, yeah, all right. I'll just look up how you're supposed to beat the boss and go, okay, and then I can just go and do it.
You had some good box art quote there. This. A couple of them were okay, Wib.
But there is a second one coming out, so I will be really intrigued. And I didn't even realise this. It's made by the same people that made Lords of the Fallen.
Which is fucking god awful.
Otherwise known as the worst Souls knockoff game.
So, I mean, like, good on them for actually basically realising where they fucked up for the most part and actively improving.
In terms of, like, improvement scale, this is an absolute masterpiece because Lords of the Fallen is a game so tedious that getting to the end of recording it, like recording a section for the video, was difficult.
It was really difficult.
It's really not good.
But no, like, massive grats to them for actually, like, improving.
So I guess I would give a solid recommendation to The Surge if you don't mind the more grindy aspects of Souls games, because there is a fair bit of grinding in it. I enjoy doing that. And you're not expecting, like, mega bosses. It's more like... I think it's like it appeals to me particularly because I really enjoy just kind of aimlessly grinding out and exploring in Souls games. So, though that being, like, the majority of the game meant that I was having fun with it. So, you know. Apart from The Surge, I did play another game, which I played to completion as well.
Oh.
Which is not as impressive when you realise it only lasts an hour and a half. But I played Donut County.
Tasty.
Which I'm not going to say too much about because I kind of want to make you play for the channel. Because it's, a short little game and it's quite fun.
Will you buy me donuts first?
I will buy you a donut, yes.
There's one dinky donut.
One dinky donut.
I will buy you one donut before and one donut after.
So, okay... The only place we can really do that is like Krispy Kreme in town, where you can buy singular donuts.
No. I'll buy a large like tray of donuts that has like 20 on it, and I'll give you one.
20,
and then I'll dispose of the rest.
20 is too many.
By eating them. That's what I will do.
What kind of donuts?
There'll be the cheap iced ones you get from like Asda.
I don't really like the icing.
Well, I'm sorry, that's the donut you get.
He might lick the icing off and then just give you the, like, plain donut
Only if he
underneath the
puts
icing.
on the candy the candy salt.
What?
The candy salt.
Candy salt?
Yeah.
Do you want
sugar?
Sugar.
Yeah, well, it's not really sugar.
What are you talking about?
The candy salt. You put it on.
You mean when you put
sugar
it
on naked donuts?
When you put sugar on donuts, or are you talking about the glazed ones?
Both. Well, that's the melty, just like sweet.
I'm going to talk about the video game now, dear.
That's the melty sweet.
I'm going to talk about the video game so we can get away from this small hell that you have built for yourself.
So I was originally going to say sugar, and then my brain just went candy salt. And I just said that instead, and I was like, what?
Anyway, Donut County, it's a game where you make things fall into holes.
Oh,
Good.
tasty.
And that's all I'm really going to say about it, other than it is quite fun.
That's how you met Dicko.
It's how I met Dicko.
That's how we all met Dicko.
Dicko and his hole have featured greatly in this episode.
Putting things in them.
I've heard it described as a reverse Katamari, and I kind of get what they mean. It's a weird game, but yeah, I just want to say that I played it, and I quite liked it.
You went full Yorkshire that I don't. You were about to say you don't.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Don't
act as if you didn't.
I don't know. I don't think I sound Yorkshire,
No,
but then most of the time I don't think I sound particularly Derbyshire either.
No, you really don't.
Derbyshire.
No.
Derbyshire.
But yeah, so Donut County, good. It's not very long, so if you want a game to play for an hour and a half that's kind of quirky and weird and has raccoons in it,
I like raccoons.
then go play that. It's weird and good. I like it. Last thing to mention is, you remember like a year ago I started watching Enterprise?
Oh yeah.
Of the Star Trek variety.
I tried to blank it out.
And said it was bad.
Yes. You said that a lot, actually.
And I came back to it periodically and said it's bad, but it has these good points.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's still bad. Basically, I got to Series 3 and the show suddenly becomes good.
Yeah, no,
Cool.
Stockholm happened.
No, legitimately, nearly every problem with the show kind of just disappears. They basically go, shit, they're just aimlessly wandering around and just going over shit we've done a million times in every other Star Trek, so there's nothing original or interesting about
Have
this.
they stopped doing the fucking decontamination chamber
Yeah.
bullshit? Because that was so cringe.
Yeah, they don't even. I think it like happens like 2 times in the whole 3rd season, and
Thank God.
it's when it is narratively a narrative necessity.
Because like, it basically opened on that, like, it's season 1, episode 1, and I was just like, oh, fuck you.
I think
I have literally
it's,
no respect for people who basically try and go like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to make this thing that's obviously softcore pornography and it's really cringy. But it's not. It's like, look, have the guts to fucking do it, you coward.
I think it's like episode 2 that opens.
And it's just so fucking stupid. It's like, look, I'm just going to go on Tumblr and get some SFM Vulcan pornography. This is fucking shit.
Yeah,
to
I
me.
think it's actually. would it be episode 3? Because I think the episode 1 is like a 2-parter.
Semantics. It's dumb.
But anyway.
Anyway, tell me about how it doesn't do that
But
anymore
yeah,
and it's actually good.
It doesn't really do that, and they actually start, making characters be interesting.
Holy shit.
What they do is they create a large threat to Earth, and Enterprise is the only ship that can go out to it, so it goes out into an uncharted part of space that's full of weird spatial anomalies and odd aliens and things to find an alien race they don't even know what they look like, called the Zindi.
They're not pubits, are they?
They're not like the Magog from Andromeda, no.
Good.
The
'Cause
makeup's,
I don't like the pubits.
The makeup's actually quite good for most of the things in it. Actually, a couple of the races are CGI, which is unusual
like
for...
Not the reptilians, the...
Aquatics.
Insectoids.
Aquatics and insectoids. Because basically there's the Zindi are made up of 5 races, which have the rather tedious names of like reptilian, insectoid, aquatics, primate or something, and what's the other one?
So
I can't
really,
remember.
Basically, they are named as just descriptors.
Yeah, they're
as
just...
opposed to
I wish,
where they're from.
I wish they'd have had some proper name for the individual ones, but whatever. They basically like fix all the weird little problems. It's kind of bizarre. Like, so Hoshi, who is the communications officer on the ship, basically exists because it's a time before the Universal Translator was like this, this like marvelous device that just fixed every problem. So she had to translate for people, but they realised at some point in season 2 that's really fucking tedious to do all the time.
Yeah.
And they kind of just stopped having her do it. And then by season 3, they actually just make her into the communications officer as opposed to a translator.
So they
all the
actually
time.
give her an actual...
Yeah, and she's sometimes is involved with like decrypting things. Like they have her do something different that's not shit.
Oh, cool.
and
Also, I want to ask about the Universal Translators.
yes,
So, like in Next Gen or whatever,
Yeah.
they're all equipped with Universal Translators so they can all understand
if
each
I remember
other.
rightly, I think it's in the comm badge.
Well, yeah, okay, so that they all have them on them.
Yeah.
So they can basically speak their native language and everyone understands each other. Then why, when Klingons shout stuff in Klingon, doesn't it translate it?
Artistic license.
Okay.
That, and you know, like how some words in French or German get into English language. I just imagine it's kind of like that.
Ooh, that's my new headcanon. I love it. That's cool.
Like, do you mean like if because everyone knows what kaplat means?
Yeah, so it kind of becomes
yeah.
part of just English or whatever future language they're
The
speaking.
idea of somebody writing poetry is like, yes, he had a certain kaplar about him.
That's kind of how I imagine it.
No, that's like headcanon accepted. That's fantastic.
I mean, of course, the real answer is don't think about it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but like Drama Matt's
yeah.
answer was like super cool, and I'm gonna totally like accept that.
One of my sort of ideas is that I think like maybe once someone starts getting angry and the thing can't keep up with them sometimes. And
another good headcanon I
that's
shall
also
accept.
good, yeah.
I mean, basically any headcanon you have for it breaks down under one specific example, like Worf explaining what a word means because he has to calmly say it and then explains its translation, and you go, well, that wouldn't work because it's an unknown Klingon
Well,
word.
you
Like,
see, this means angry. It means I'm very not happy about this. Okay.
Actually, great thing about season 3 and coming up on season 4, because I'm like a quarter of the way through season 4 now of Enterprise, so I've actually like burned through like a quarter of the entire series like in a week because I actually really enjoyed watching it. Is that Jeffrey Combs is starting to appear more and more.
Jeffrey Combs is rad.
Because he plays an Andorian. And
I like the wiggly antenna.
And he's great because I just like Jeffrey Combs in Star Trek. He's just
I just
fun.
like Jeffrey Combs. He's fun.
He seems fun. I don't know anything about the man personally, and I'm kind of scared to go and look.
Because everyone's a bastard.
I'll probably find out he's a dickhead in real life. But I don't want to know. I just know that I like the characters that he plays on Star Trek, and he's really good as Herbert West as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He has good, intense comedic timing.
Yeah.
Good level of intensity, that man.
Oh, and also mentioning a few guest stars, because it's kind of interesting. I just watched the episodes where Brent Spiner comes back, not as Data, but as an ancestor of Noonan Soon.
Isn't it weird how everyone throughout history always looks identical to everyone they're related to?
Yeah.
I love that part about just any like fantasy series. It's just like, oh yes, this is your great grandfather. It's like, I look identical, even down to like the eyebrow piercing rejection scar. Weird that.
The fun one though, in the first episode he appears in. Do you want to know who also guest stars?
Christopher Lloyd.
No, The Big Show. As an Andorian syndicate member. Not Andorian, Orion syndicate member.
Oh, that makes it better.
He's just a giant green man who picks up T'Pol like she's a fucking doll and like throws her around. It's ridiculous.
Okay, I need to... That's amazing. Oh, more wrestlers cameoing in Star Trek, please.
It would have shocked me more had I not watched the Voyager episode where The Rock appears.
Oh.
And does the people's eyebrow.
Oh, he does.
Yeah. And then he has a fight against Seven of Nine. Yeah, that's the thing.
That was a good episode.
That's
just because The Rock is in it.
Some Katsu or something. The episode's called. It's
I
something
don't
like
care.
That.
It's perfect.
It's not very good.
Some cat suit.
Some cat suit. Yes, that's it.
No, honestly, if it's got The Rock in it, I like it.
it's not good. But then that's kind of stuff.
Snipe, that means you like basically all films made nowadays.
Yeah.
They all contain a wrestler at some point.
Because they all contain The Rock.
No. I didn't say a wrestler. I said
but
Rock.
all films contain The Rock nowadays, apparently. Like, just looking at trailers and things, like, he's in everything.
No.
I wish he was in everything.
I wish he was in my kitchen, and I'd make him a nice cup of tea, and we'd talk about Doom.
And you'd wander and he'd be there and he'd be like, oh, hello, Snipe. Could you smell what The Rock is cooking?
I'm like, ooh, it's my favourite. And he's like, yes, I didn't know what it was, so I cooked everything. And it'd be this big pie that has everything I like in it.
Yeah.
Aww. And he'd be wearing a cute little apron.
And nothing else.
And only a cute little apron.
No, don't be weird.
Well, this isn't for you. This isn't for you. This is for me.
Oh, that's your fantasy, okay. See, in mine, he's wearing that really sexy outfit where he's got the black polo neck on, the tan chinos, and the fucking bum bag.
Yes.
Full of Pop-Tarts and condoms. By his own admission. He literally said that's what's in there.
I thought that was your fantasy.
No. The real life is sexier than fantasy.
I want to believe that the Pop-Tarts and condom story is true. I know it's not, but I want to believe
that the Pop-Tarts and condoms basically are just Pop-Tarts, because he'll just like open it up, put the wrapper on his winky, and then he'll make himself a Pop-Tart.
What, the Pop-Tart wrapper?
Yeah.
That's going to be uncomfortable.
Not for him.
And not serviceable for its role at all.
Well, no, he's going to like duct tape it to the base of his winky.
I'm pretty sure he can afford a condom.
Yeah, it's the principle of the thing.
Oh.
He's going to put some cling
Are
film
you
over
saying
top.
that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson does not buy condoms on principle?
No, I'm saying he makes his own out of protest.
What, to protest Big Johnny?
No, it's because The Rock is a slut for recycling. And, like, he just wants to, like, find different uses for everyday household items. Like, aluminium foil packaging for Pop-Tarts.
Right.
So he doesn't want to throw them away because they're perfectly serviceable.
Okay,
And that's what he keeps in his little bum bag.
Okay, Matthew, I'm done with talking about things. Can you please start asking some of those questions just to, once again, save me from this?
Yes.
How dare.
Yes, I can. We have some questions. We have as previously mentioned, a backlash of questions.
Backlash of questions.
Because I like that phrase. Last time I said it by accident, but this time's on purpose. Because we didn't have time last week.
Also, if you want to send us a question, you should send it to onlydrummermat@snipeandwib at gmail.com. And the question I want you to ask for next time is, what is your fantasy based around Dwayne The Rock Johnson? Also, just tell me what you think he keeps in his little fanny pack. That's all I want to know.
Good.
So what are the questions we've been asked, Matthew?
So I guess first up, I'm just going to say I wrote the notes on the questions because I kind of summarise people's emails just so I don't read out the whole thing, so it'll take ages. And this is from 2 weeks ago, so usually it's okay because I can still remember the email, but I can't now. So if my notes have completely missed the gist of your email, apologies. Okay, first up we have Orc Boy, who submitted a husbando for suitable judgment.
I will judge.
Felix Argyle from V0.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. They're an anime cat person.
Okay.
There's an image of them chewing on some guy's ear, so I'm immediately going to say they're a 2 out of 10. Because I fucking hate that stupid shit. It was like, oh, I'm just going to invade your personal space and be a jerk. But I think Drama Matt might absolutely adore them. Because they have kitty ears.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
It's definitely Drummer Matt's thing.
So I'd have to go for a 4 out of 10, I'm afraid.
There you go. Drummer Matt, what's your
There's definitely,
verdict?
I was just Googling, there's definitely a target audience because the first thing that comes up when you type in the name, it also suggests to body pillow.
Ain't nothing wrong with body pillows.
No, I'm not saying there is. I'm just saying there's a definite target audience of this character. Or they definitely have an intent, a design intent.
Yes.
And even with safe search
Yeah.
on, there's a lot of porn on the image search.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
See, I'm going to go 2 out of 10 because they look like an annoying anime stereotype. I'm sorry, Orc Boy. I might watch a lot of anime, but I'm really not very happy about it, so... Drama Matt, what are you rating?
Me, I'm not saying anything.
Oh, you're like saying that, oh yes, they have a target audience out of 10.
Yeah. And they also needed to know, Orc Boy also needed to know, is the Drummer Matt Lives on the Couch meme officially dead?
No.
Yeah, definitely not. Next up, Bloodwolf Koji. They say they really enjoy the videos because they help a stressed out college student relax, which is nice.
Glad.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad.
Take care of yourself.
They got into 40k tabletop last September. They're a proud Space Wolf player.
Heck yeah!
So they want an official rating for Husbando of Ragnar Blackmane.
Oh, he is a solid 10. He is.
As if we
he
expected
is
any different result.
Okay, shut up.
Okay. There's an important distinction. Are we talking about Ragnar Blackmane, the character, or are we talking about Ragnar Blackmane, the sculpt that will not die?
I'm talking
the
about
model
Ragnar
from
Blackmane.
the early 90s that they refused to make a new version of.
Well, the thing is, they are afraid of making a new version. Do you know why? Because it would have to be so handsome, it would literally break people.
He is the youngest Wolf Lord.
Yes, the youngest and the sexiest.
It does say that when you look
It
at
does.
What are the great companies.
In the
It's like
Codex, it's like Blackmane's great company, totally fuckable.
the most fuckable,
The most
of
fuckable
the great
boy.
companies.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's pretty fuckable.
Yeah, but he's like a good wingman to the rest of
Oh,
them.
he's fantastic. Yeah, that's the thing. He's not only really fuckable, but he's like a total bro as well. So he's like really cool.
I can't really give him any less than a 10 out of 10 there, can I?
You have to
Yeah.
give Ragnar a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Total hubbo.
Do you have a rating there, Matt?
No, I mean, he's pretty cool. So, I mean, I'd be lying if it wasn't a straight up 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Ragnar is our perfect 10,
Yeah.
apparently.
Which I think was
Absolute
probably
babe.
assumed with the question, but they just needed confirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, well,
Which is fair.
It's good. It's good to have some confirmation. So yeah.
All right. Next up, Robert, who I apologised to last time because I just ignored their first email. Apparently, not on purpose. Like I just genuinely didn't see it.
It did sound like you were like, oh yeah, I just ignored the last email. 'Cause I didn't
No, but
like
I've already done the apology, but apologies again. Right. So they've got a few questions. First up is payment for the questions. They've sent through a photo of their dog, Pepper, who is a golden doodle, which is a cross between a poodle and a golden retriever.
I love Golden Doodle because it sounds like a knockoff crisp. That's like Aldi crisps, and I fucking love Aldi crisps. So I love that doggo.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Golden Doodle.
But it's the best. They'll be pictured up on Twitter when this goes live, or the day after when I've forgotten probably. But at some point, right? Snipe.
Yes.
what character class is Nathan's original iteration in Warcraft or World of Warcraft?
He is a warlock.
Okay, because he says that they know Warlock is different between D&D and World of Warcraft. Like, there's subtle differences, they weren't sure.
Yeah, no, there are subtle differences. I tend to basically, with both versions, have a weird kind of mix of both of them, because Warlocks and WoW are like... Oof,
evil.
They are evil.
Straight up evil.
They are just straight up fucking evil. So I've decided to kind of alleviate that. So he still does a lot of evil shit, but I've decided to kind of not make it anywhere near as evil so he can still be chaotic good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's, I've homebrewed a lot.
You made your own version of Warlock that's kind of somewhere between the two of them.
Yeah, because you play it different in D&D as well, like the whole blood power magic thing, which just isn't a part of Warlocks.
No, so he's...
It is, so it's fine, because it's your character.
Yeah, so we kind of have it I guess Warlock is the closest approximation of what he is as a spellcaster. So for ease of description, he's a Warlock, but if you look at the intricacies, he's not.
You're playing accounts as Warlock.
I'm playing accounts as Warlock, in both WoW and D&D.
Yeah. Next up, they've... I've got a picture to show you guys.
Okay.
They kit bashed an orc model out of a war boss with bits of a dreadnought, which I'll send through. So their question is, what do you think he'd be running as? He's swaying towards a big mech or a big mech with power armor, or something along those lines.
Oh yeah, so we've got Assault on Blackreach war boss with various dreadnought guns and stuff attached to his gun arm, so he's got like a big mechanical arm. I mean, I guess with a gun that big, I mean, hell, you could probably even run that as some kind of shock attack gun. Although I can never remember what they're allowed to have now, shock attack gun mechs. I can't remember if they can even have a power claw. Probably not.
Paint it green and just pretend he has some gnarly nails.
I mean, in all honesty, I do kind of think that if you're basing it off of the Blackreach war boss, that kind of shape is so recognizable that without significant overhauling of the whole thing, you kind of have to run them as war bosses because everyone looks across the table and sees them as war bosses.
Yeah.
And
give him a sign that says, "I'm not a war boss. I'm a shock attack boy."
And the important thing to remember is that it doesn't matter how big a gun you mod onto a war boss or what it looks like. It doesn't really matter because most of it's there just to be loud anyway. Yeah. So even if it's only got the stat line of a bolter or a las gun, it could be massive. It's just the orcs like it to be big and loud.
Yeah.
And yeah, there has been this weird size creep going on with people making war bosses anyway. So some people will make war bosses out of dreadnoughts, and hell, I've recently built a war boss that's made from a lot of dreadnought parts. But people will just straight up make one from usually the Assault on Blackreach dreadnought. They'll usually use that, and that makes him fucking huge. But then some people go bigger than that, so you've got orc war bosses that are the size about what would it be 2/3 the height of an Imperial Knight, and you're like, that's probably a bit big, lads.
Nah, it's fine.
But
Can't see the problem there. But no,
it's one of those ones that's been fighting the Tyranids for the last however many centuries, and they just are probably that size by now.
Yeah. To be fair, that's the thing. Orcs can just keep growing. There's the whole prime orcs thing, where there's orcs as big as fucking gargants and shit. Well, they're as big as a Gorkanaut, or Morkanaut.
Which is really fucking dumb. But whatever, orcs is orcs.
But yeah, to answer your question, I would probably just run that as a war boss. Just one with a very heavily customised gun. I guess
that has the stats of a bolter.
Alternately, just wait until the codex comes out in October and see if there is anything interesting you can run it as.
Is it actually coming out in October?
It is, yes.
October,
that's the best.
I know. God, October is the best month in the world. I don't care.
Alright, next up. Back onto World of Warcraft. I think you've all played some amount of time in World of Warcraft. I think some amount is underselling it.
That is really
a little bit
for all of us. But what are your favourite classes and races in the game?
Worgen and Warlock. Shock fucking horror. I also love female orcs. They are great. I love them.
I love Feral Combat Druid in the expansions where it is broken, like Cataclysm, where they were broken, and really it's just absurdly good and could literally fulfill the role of a damage and a tank and combat res
at the same time. Yeah.
It was great. But I probably, if I was to pick a race, I do really like Draenei.
I really like Trolls too. Trolls are super cool.
Or Draenei, as I'm aware you're supposed to pronounce it.
No, because
even though it's spelt Draenei.
It's like if it was Draenei, they wouldn't put the fucking E in there.
Yeah, I know, but it's like Blizzard can't spell.
Yeah, and they can't pronounce shit either, apparently. But no. So many fun races.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
I gravitate towards Rogue, but I do that
You're
in
just
all
a sneaky
games.
bastard, regardless.
In terms of races, none of them massively, like, I don't particularly have, like, one that jumps out more than the others. I'm trying to think back what my main character was, race-wise, and I honestly can't remember.
Your main was a Shadow Priest called Ornva, who
that was my old main.
Yeah, and your new one was a female rogue Worgen.
I thought she was a Worgen, but I never had her in wolf form, I don't think, so I just kind of forgot.
I can't remember her name. At all.
Who knows? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. But no.
But yeah, no.
But you would have had her. You would have had her in Worgen form a lot because when she fights, she has to go into Worgen form.
Oh well, it's been a long time since I've played. I honestly can't remember at this point.
Also, I really like. Oh, what are they? I think they're the Rendorai, which are like basically the what are they called? I can't fucking remember off the top of my head. They're the super snotty. Basically night elves.
A lot of high elves, effectively.
No. I know what a high elf is, dear. They pissed around with like a bunch of arcane energy, and they're all basically like arcane addicts in the end of Legion.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember.
The junkie elves.
Yeah, where they're basically it's just like blood elf but night elves. But yeah, they join the Horde. For some reason, I can't remember. There's some weird reason where they literally just go, like, someone's like, oh yeah, and you have to wear shoes indoors. And they're like, well, fuck the Alliance, we're joining the Horde, or something like that.
That's about as in-depth as the explanation for half the races joining the side that they did. That we get anyway, so...
Well, it's PvP ruining everything.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no. Got a few favourite races. I like Draenei, but they're always played by really creepy people. Speaking as someone who literally only hangs out on an RP server, Draenei frighten me because they're always sitting there describing in violent detail for paragraphs how their gigantic sloshy balls are just smacking against their moist thighs as they hoof sexily through the streets of fucking Stormwind. It is sinister.
I wish any part of what you just said was an exaggeration, but I have literally you've literally called me over to say read this profile and slosh, like the liquid sloshing in my balls is literally a thing that I have read with my own eyeballs.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't want to kink shame, but like some people like. Jesus, there's some fucking crazy shit.
It's a bit wild.
It's a bit wild.
What's the next question so we don't have to think about this anymore?
Alright, they've recently acquired a new computer, which is able to run games that are more than 9 years old.
Nice.
Which is nice. So they say, can you recommend a PC game each? So I'm going to narrow it down to say, suggest a game that's pretty and will make the most of having a new computer to play it on.
Doom 2016.
Good choice. Picking something that actually makes it like worthwhile. I can't really think
because usually when we get asked about PC games, we default to like games that are 20 years old.
Yeah, it's like, play Blood that was made in 1995 or 1996.
Play the fucking Binding of Isaac and like, fulfill your life for like hundreds of hours.
But also you can play it on a toaster at this point.
Yeah, really. It's like the Skyrim people care about.
I'd say maybe give one of the Dark Souls games a go.
Yeah.
See how you feel about
Dark
those.
Souls 1 or 3, maybe not 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily try 2, but 1 or 3, they won't necessarily push your machine.
Have you heard much about the remastered first one?
I've heard it's pretty good.
Because that will presumably push the machine more than the original.
It does run at 60 without breaking the jumping, which was the thing.
That's good.
Because that was if you forced it to run at 60 in the original version of the game, then you couldn't jump as far for some reason.
It's dumb.
It's one of those where I don't even want to think about why that's the case. But yeah, Doom and Dark Souls.
Okay.
John,
There you
what
go.
about you?
Good. I've been trying to think while you were talking. I was like, have I played a game that's newer than... Because I get all my games on sale, which means I can't play any games that are new.
You should play Final Fantasy VII.
That'll push your graphics card hard.
So I'm a hard pass. I might think of one and put it on Twitter or something.
Okay.
Their favourite single-player game is Mass Effect, which
Cool.
pretty much makes them a good person, I think. Especially like the storytelling and the romance. What are your favourite
Absolutely.
romance options in Mass Effect?
Oh, Garrus, Jack, yeah.
Tally.
Tally's great.
Oh, it's
but
Tally.
but literally they put me in a game because I played through Mass Effect 1 to 3 as a femshep first and foremost, and then I played through as a manshep, and I literally saved myself the whole game in the first game because I was saving myself for Jack. And literally the bit at the bit before you go on the mission, and it's like there's the person there you've been like hitting it off with,
Yeah.
and like Joker interrupts you like almost kissing. If you don't romance anyone, because my man shep was just stood there like looking at his nails, like scratching his head and just not really doing anything. He was like
God,
checking.
I wish I had someone to bone right now.
He was like checking his boots and shit, and then it's this Joker's like, "Oh, I hate to interrupt," and it's like, "Yeah, what?"
It's like, yeah, don't worry, you're not interrupting anything, Joker.
I'm saving myself for Jack.
This person
I should be honest, I'm pretty bored down here. What's Joker's first name?
Jeff.
Jeff. It's
Jeff
like,
Moreau.
yeah, it's like, come on down here, Jeff. I'll give you a hand job. Just anything to relieve the tedium.
Just a sad hand job.
It'll be a bit
An
sad
obligation hand job.
It won't be a good one. I'm not gonna have my heart. My heart's not in it, but I'm built up for something, and it's just going nowhere. So
Yeah.
What was yours, Matt?
I've only played through the whole thing, and I played as femshep as well, and I was with Leora in the first game, and then you get into the second game and you kind of don't really see her at all, and then in the third game you kind of see her a bit more.
Unless you have the DLC.
Yeah, no, I did get that just for that. But then you start playing the third game and it's like, oh, I haven't seen you for ages. It's like, I've literally just played the DLC where I saw you, which is set like last week. So
I love the idea of Shep saying that.
Was I that forgetful?
Yeah. It's like my favourite part about reuniting with Jack in like the third one is like she basically jumps a fucking fence, runs up, punches me in the face, and then makes out with me in front of all of her students. And I was like, fuck, I love you. Marry me, girl. You are amazing.
Also, her design is so good.
It's
in the
so
third
good
one.
in Mass Effect 3. In Mass Effect 2 it was pretty garbage.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I would always put like this shirt on her which looked like a really bad mod.
It's cold in space.
It is. She's gonna have some chafing going on.
Yeah.
But like her design in the third one is like actually looks like you could walk around like that without popping out and looking like an idiot. But yeah, those are our husbandos and waifus. Because Tally waifu is good. Emergency induction tube.
Right, Robert's last question. Do you know of the SCP Foundation?
I do.
Yes.
What do you think of it? And if you have one, what's your favourite SCP?
I was just fucking talking about this yesterday. I think the SCP thing, I think it's a fantastic idea. Like, for those of you who don't know, which I'm sure most of you do, the SCP Foundation is basically a collection of creepypastas, which is kind of selling it short, where people will write about strange phenomena and like what they do and the spooky images and basically under the pretense of it being like this big government agency almost. So a lot of the files that are written, I think all of them are basically in the style of like a information sheet that has a lot of redacted information and it's got like data expunged. It's to do with it's very cold, kind of like, oh, this SCP is to be contained in a 20-foot by 20-foot like concrete like thing. It's like it's very kind of there's a great kind of underlying story to there's this there's this shady government people who just keep these things away from the rest of humanity, and it's very, very cool.
Was it secure, contain, protect?
Yeah.
Is what SCP stands for.
Yes.
Okay.
We actually all played a game based on it really early on in the channel.
Back when I was a shit and couldn't deal with literally anything scary.
Containment Breach, if you remember that game, Matt.
Yeah, I think they
blinking
mentioned that in the email.
Yeah.
Because, I unfortunately have nearly entirely encountered the SCP Foundation through the worst entries of it.
Yeah.
So
the game is my basic only knowledge of it, to be honest.
And we encountered a very early version of the game
Very early.
that is much worse than the later versions.
The later one, they put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, they have.
They've added a lot more monsters and things.
They have improved it vastly. And my lasting memory of the SCP Foundation is when I made a joke one for Twitter that I can't remember what the number was, but it was an SCP that was a sandwich that harbours racist thoughts.
Yes.
And then I made like a janky looking picture of a sandwich.
Put it in grayed out and put the SCP logo on it. But it was like SCP number in containment. Probably thinking about racist thoughts.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some SCPs that kind of daft. Like, my favourite one, just based on the picture that they're using, is SCP-1471, which is a haunted mobile app, and it's stupid, and I don't care about the SCP entry at all, but the picture that is used is so fucking cool.
It's also really easy to remember, because 1471 is what in the UK you dial to pull up the last person who called you.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Which, maybe that's intentional. But yeah, it's what it is like a mobile app that you download, and then every 3 to 6 hours it'll send you a spooky picture of this badass fucking wolf thing that has, it's basically like, it's got just an exposed canid skull with these big milky eyes, and then the rest of it is just like pitch black fur, and it's just so creepy and so cool. I love it very much.
Which one's one that you like based on its story? About the cake that endlessly replicates.
The endlessly replicating cake. Yeah, that's so scary. It's so good.
It does not sound scary. That sounds excellent.
Yeah. It's like, this is they're like, oh, special containment procedures. We have to keep inviting people in to eat this cake, otherwise within a month it will cover the entire Earth's surface and we'd all die.
It's literally it, yeah.
It's like, so you have to have tea parties, otherwise the world will end.
I think that's also the problem, is that some of the SCP... I mean, I'm not saying the cake one is scary under any circumstance.
No.
But yeah, a lot of them, they seem silly when you just talk about them.
Yeah, like a lot of them, like the entries are interesting. I'd say one I really like is, I can't remember the number, but it's called Unlondon, where it's basically this big underground city that was found that is completely empty. And every time, like, and when you walk in, it like plays like this creepy old like thing over a town, which is like, "Welcome to Unlondon," and it's like this big spiel, and it's like, that is just spooky to me, and like I thought it was really creative. I thought it was fun.
That's the thing. Like even if I am often quite dismissive and mock the SCP Foundation, I do genuinely like admire the creativity. That's gone into it, and most of my mockery is good natured. It's playful. It's not meant in any malicious manner.
Yeah, there's so many, because I follow the Volgun on YouTube who does SCP readings, and yeah, there's a few of those that I really do like, and there's another one was like a submarine with these weird people that come out and like will try and get you to go to the submarine with them, and like, once you put one of the suits on that they wear, you basically become a part of the submarine, and like if you take it off, you basically just cease to exist.
Oh.
It's a bit strange.
Okay.
But no, there's interesting ones. What about you, dear? What's your favourite SCP?
I don't have one.
Is it the rowing machine?
I don't know what the row... Oh, you mean the rowing machine from the video, where it was just a really fucked up model?
Yeah.
yeah, let's go with the rowing machine. Anyway, let's move on, because we're kind of dragging on these questions a bit.
Me, no, I think I've meant... it may have been obvious in passing in the past that I don't do horror stuff. That's not fair. Because I'm too scared of it, but that's partially... I don't like jump scares, and that's what most horror is nowadays. But it just doesn't really do anything for me, so...
Okay.
Yeah. don't really have much of an opinion. Nothing against anyone who likes it, obviously. Like, obviously.
No.
I'm not going to be a dick
Obviously.
about it. It just doesn't do it for me. So, okay, that's the end of Robert's questions, and a weight is lifted off my conscience now. So, I'm happy.
We have to wait and see if he forgives you. Though.
Maybe we'll see. Right.
Okay.
Okay. Next up, Sharky Tech Priest Ollie.
Good name.
You've mentioned Warframe. As someone with over 2,000 hours in said game, I'm required to ask, what are your favourite frames and or weapons?
I haven't played in a good long while, but Oberon is my favourite.
Yeah,
It was like the Valkyrie or something that I really tried to get into. Valkyrie, maybe?
I was an Oberon player too.
I liked it because you got antlers.
Yeah, I've not played it. I think I tried to play it again about 6 months ago and was so utterly confused by how much they changed the game.
Too much has changed.
Because we did both play a shitload of it many years ago.
Yeah, I remember when you were playing that, and you got quite a lot of hours in. Not 2,000, I don't think. But...
No, maybe
4,000-5,000 because we're not amateur. No.
I think we both racked up like 100 or so hours on it.
We played the heck out of that game.
And enjoyed it, but not played it recently.
Yeah.
So
Drummer Matt's never played it.
No, I kept meaning to when you were playing it because free.
Yeah.
But never quite got around to it.
No, it's a fantastic free-to-play model. It's like, that's how you do free-to-play.
Is it just cosmetics and things you can buy?
Yeah. I mean, you can buy, like, boosters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's not really intrusive.
There are legitimate things you can get, but since the way the game's structured, it's nowhere near as bad, and you can grind most of these things out like yourself. So.
But it's not, like, super egregious.
Yeah,
So.
at least it wasn't when we played it.
Yeah,
I don't know how
which
it
was
is now.
years and years ago, so...
Maybe it's awful now. Who knows? I don't know. I hear it's still quite good. Yeah.
Okay. Next on, they've got a husbando for rating.
Okay.
Hit me.
And I'm going to pronounce all of these things wrong. Tiberos, the Red Wake, chapter master of the Charadons.
The Car Sharadons. Yeah, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. He has like fucking lightning claws that also have chain fists built into the
They
fucking
are
palms.
awesome.
Amazing.
I literally use that model for my homebrew Deathwing army as a master of the Deathwing. Because the model was amazing and I wanted an excuse to use it.
Yeah, and it's a really cool
And
model.
I don't have space sharks, so, Kasharadons are basically the redone space sharks, by the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Matt, so.
Okay, nice.
Although I'm probably pronouncing them wrong because I've heard a million different pronunciations of it.
Yeah, well, too
Well,
bad.
whichever one I just said is probably wrong, so that's one of them wiped off.
Yeah. But it's, the full name is like a Kasharadon Astra, which is space shark, basically.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, on a related note, we also have some Shark Boys to rate, and now Shark Boys makes more sense in my head now. I know what that is.
If this is a picture of a street shark, I'm going to be very happy.
It is not.
It's going to be
I'm afraid.
jawsome.
So yes, they have painted some Cataphractii Terminators in space shark colours. I approve of this.
That is cool.
They are cool.
I would say they're not husbandos.
No, this wasn't related. The husbando was the buff guy, and these are just Shark Boys.
Yeah,
These are good shark boys.
They are good shark boys. I don't think I could handle 5 husbandos at once.
I could.
Well, braver woman than I am.
You heard.
Good, righto.
But yes, they are good shark boys. I
Good
approve.
shark boys.
Yes, thumbs
They
up.
are fun.
Next up, Frambo.
Is that the person talking to us?
Yes.
Hello, Frambo. I love your game.
The video game your name is from is very good.
Yeah, no. Well, that's the thing. So they emailed in, dear Snip, Web, and of course Percussion Mike.
Good.
Yes.
Many
Hello.
episodes ago, Snipe, Wib, and Drummer Matt read my previous question and proceeded to confuse my name with that of an indie horror game, despite the clear difference of a single letter. This is unacceptable.
Okay.
So I had to interrupt you going down that path before. Thus, I have decided to contact you, or you being Snip, Web, and Percussion Mike, in the hopes that you can help me get my revenge. Perhaps you can challenge them to a Warhammer 40k tournament. I'm sure that Snip's Thousand Suns army could easily crush Snipe's Space Wolves. Signed Frambo with an M, not an N, like the horror game.
Oh, Frambo. As in,
Frambo.
like you're Rambo, but you're from the indie horror game Frambo.
So before you went down the comparing them to the name thing, I had to get in there with the email.
Well, yes, I'm sure that our
John Frambo is probably really angry.
I am sure that our evil twins that run the podcast that's good.
That's what it's called. The podcast is good, but we also don't like
It's-
people.
No,
Called-
it's Snip, Web, and Percussion Mic of the what did I call it on my reply? Misanthrop. Misantropod.
You couldn't even come up with a joke about how it's a podcast about liking people.
No. I just because Snip, Web, and is just like changing a letter. I just changed some of the vowels around.
To be fair, it sounds like an anime.
However, I do like the idea of us having like a tie-in food line where we make like sweet puddings,
Yeah.
and it could be eat the misanthropods.
What was it? The Missanthropods.
Well, that's the other podcast, but we can't use that name because that's copyright to Snip, Web, and Percussion Mic.
Yeah, but misanthropod is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Well, yes, we're sorry. We're sorry. We misheard your name,
And then did it again now.
and then did it again now.
I'm not that sorry because that was a really funny email.
And then at the back, in the ending brackets, they were like, "Really though, I've been enjoying the podcast as well as the other stuff." So hi. slight break of character at the end.
Thank you very much, and we're sorry.
All right. Anyway, moving on. That's the end of last time's questions.
Okay.
So we have
Cool.
we have more.
We're doing terrific.
Katie and Guardsman Reek, would you rather? And I like,
Okay.
and just as a heads up to this one, I like these would you rather questions, so I'm encouraging more of these to be sent in.
Absolutely.
Would you
We
rather
haven't heard it yet.
have an itch that never goes away, be a victim of Dark Eldar torture, although for an unspecified amount of time, so could be short,
2 minutes.
or spend the rest of your days as a plastic model, but you don't get the Toy Story treatment, so you can't talk or move around by yourself. But presumably you're still like conscious and can see, you just can't do anything, I guess.
Well,
Like that's like, what would you rather eat? Like chicken that hasn't got enough salt on it, so you eat it and you're just like, the whole time. Would you like your eyes to be removed
otherwise
and
known as
forced to
chicken
eat
how
them?
everyone else has it.
Yeah. Or like, would you like your toenails peeled off and force fed to you? It's like,
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna go for the itch.
yeah, the itch by
Because
like Country
fucking
Mile.
hell. What
Yeah,
the hell?
I think
That
it
is-
would be
that's a bit
annoying,
too
but
easy.
the other two would be like horrific.
Like the Dark Eldar torture you for so long.
With an itch that you just can't scratch.
Okay,
The Dark Eldar torture you in such a way that you would think it is a career.
okay. In that case, then, so that's both of your answers, and I'd probably go the same because the other two are, yeah. So as a
Horrible.
follow-up vague question, would you rather have an itch that never goes away, or okay, how long would the Eldar torture be to be preferable to an itch that never goes away? Like, could you be tortured for 5 minutes, but then never?
I'd say 2 seconds, I'd be happy.
Okay, so you'd rather an itch
They'd
forever.
flick me in the philtrum and I'd be like,
So you'd rather an itch forever than 3 seconds of horrific torture.
Oh no, in that case, I'd definitely rather the like 3 seconds of like, I don't know, poking me in the face with a pin or something.
I don't know. I'm not sure I would be up for any level of Dark Eldar torture because fundamentally, well, they live in a pocket of the webway, which is it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
They live in a place where I don't trust time and space to operate
Okay, yeah, fair point.
properly. So when it says 3 seconds of torture, I don't trust that it's actually
Yeah.
going to be 3 seconds of torture.
In what reference frame?
Also, I will say the two, those tortures could be literally just the same thing. So the Dark Eldar could make you a plastic miniature for all eternity with an itch that can never be scratched.
They could make all of those things possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
and I feel
that-
like a lot of
that's
their
just the same
tortures
thing.
would be irreversible as well. So even if it's a short amount of
Yeah.
time, you're going to end up with
You'd
an
never
arm
be
off
right.
or something. So
Yeah, exactly.
I think ending up with an arm off is the best case scenario.
So you end up with an arm off shoved up your ass.
I didn't want my brain to go down the depth that the Deldar
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I'd rather have an itch, thank you.
But yes, I agree with Matt. The would you rather questions, I'm totally
yeah,
down
I'm
for.
entitled.
Yeah.
And they don't always have to be,
Injury. It's
yeah.
like, would you rather eat a bag of sour Skittles Or set someone on fire.
I mean,
I don't know. Who is it? I'm just saying, there's some people I'll do for free.
Okay.
I will not actually set anyone on fire. The police.
But he will do people for free.
yeah, but...
Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
Alright, next question. What are both Matt's worst foods? I'm assuming they're not asking you, Snipe, because, people know. You've made your thoughts on bad foods clear.
People know. They know about the worst unnatural foods that I don't like.
The food that I dislike the most is
anything
parsnip.
I make.
What?
No,
Really?
It's parsnip. Parsnip is the only food that I have eaten and nearly thrown up instantly because I could not stand it that much.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I am a finicky eater. So.
I mean, if you just said vegetables in general, I would have understood.
Hey, he ate salad yesterday. Shut up. I force-fed it to him, but he ate it.
I'm a finicky eater anyway, so there's lots of foods I don't like, but that's the one that I have the most. I've had the most violent reaction to.
okay.
It's really sad because you could have split one and peeled it and then glued it to your chest, and then you would have had parsnipples.
Is this a joke you've been sitting on for years, and you've just been waiting for an excuse to use it in context?
No, I just came up with it because I've only slept for 3 hours and I'm a fucking genius.
Okay. What's your least favourite food,
I would
Matt?
say probably any shellfish, as a general rule. If I had to
Any
narrow it down,
shellfish?
I don't know what's the slimiest and grossest. Oysters are pretty bad.
They're pretty foul.
But they're a mollusk, aren't they?
Oh,
mollusk.
anything with a shell that lives in the sea. As a general rule, I don't like anything from the sea, but I can force myself to eat fish.
In fairness, I'm pretty certain that if I was to ever eat an oyster, that would overcome parsnips by a massive margin. Because that's basically living snot that you're supposed to eat.
Yeah, they're
good.
the worst. And they're really popular around here. Loads of people love them. You just have to. On a Sunday, there's stalls around everywhere selling them, and you just have to avoid everything.
Just out of interest, because I know you weren't asked specifically, but I'm going to extend the question. What is the food you least like, Snipe?
Avocado.
Avocado.
It makes me physically rich. It's disgusting.
You were forced to eat as a kid, weren't you?
I was force-fed it.
Yeah, no, that'll do
And
it.
basically, wasn't allowed to throw up, and then I had to go to my room and throw up out my window. It was... And honestly, since then, the smell of one will make me, honest to God, wretch.
Yeah, no,
They're
that checks out.
repulsive. Fucking hate them. And they're they're from the old Mayan word testicle.
This is one millennial that will not be having avocado toast. What's the next question?
They've also sent a doggo picture, which will go on Twitter.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Well, they also asked how much for a tub of happy slime.
Yeah, throw 'em out. How much for Happy Slime?
How much is your happy slime?
Well, they're
liquid
ordering it
ounces?
in on behalf of the Inquisition to test it. So, I mean, I can charge them whatever I want because,
This is
they
true,
have more money
actually.
than the average us.
Yeah. So if you want some drummer slime for your personal use, let us know, and then we will. The price will be reasonable. Whereas if it's for the Inquisition, then fuck those guys. Don't tell.
You will charge.
But don't tell them I said that.
You will charge. The sky will be the limit to the price. It could even be £5.54.
I will not give you one more penny than £5.09.
Okay, but I'll charge the
The
rest in
drummer slime.
excessive postage and packaging fees.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Sell it to them. It's like, oh yeah, well it'll be like £2.09, but £400,000 delivery. Anything from fucking marketplace sellers on Amazon.
Yeah.
Wow, this DVD only costs a penny, but costs £5 postage and packaging. How about fuck you?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up, Barbu Comedy. And I don't often read the greetings, but I like this one. Greetings from the lowlands of Scotland to Drummer Matt and his minions.
I
So,
wonder why you liked that one.
because I like Scottish people.
No, you don't. You literally said to me yesterday that Scotland is a poor man's Yorkshire that's up north. Also, I'm an Englishman and I hate the Scottish. And I was like, wow, Drummer Matt, that's really horrible. And he was like, I know, I'm English.
And that was out of nowhere. I was just asking what you wanted from Subway.
Yeah.
I mean,
am I right, people who are Scottish?
statistically, you are right, but in my explicit case, you are very wrong. On average, the English are dicks.
Oh, absolutely.
They're
totally.
not, but they're just dicks to anyone not from England. Yeah. And somehow, the more closer you get to not, Anyway. But I didn't say that, to clarify.
You just thought it really loudly.
What franchise, so a film series, book, comic, toys, could be anything, would you want to see made into a video game? And what sort of game would it be?
I want a Shadow video game.
What kind of game would the Shadow video game be? And would this be the Shadow as done in the old radio plays, or
both?
Would this be the Shadow from the shit movie that's kind of great?
It is shit. I think they should keep the kind of a lot of the supernatural elements from the 90s movie, because I thought that really added a nice bit of spice to it. But I'd like to see some of the older kind of adventures. Like where he meets Batman, and Batman just fanboys like a crazy person because, oh my god, you are my inspiration. I'd love to shake your hand, and then he just shoots him. Because the Shadow does not fucking
What kind
care.
of game would that be?
I think it'd have to be like a third-person kind of stealth action kind of game.
Are you thinking sort of in the sort of vein of like an Arkham City type deal?
I think it would be like that, where you just you'd roam around the city, hiding in shadows and just being a total badass.
I can actually see
and
that
then,
working.
Like it would be nice. You could just you wouldn't be able to make him laugh, because that's a big thing about him. Because it's an old radio show, they had to. If they wanted to, the Shadow is there, so he'd just start laughing in this evil manner. So basically just make him laugh, make him laugh. And just, you can't do that, he's like a hunter. So when you press crouch, he just starts laughing.
Okay. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by any of that.
I have no fucking clue either.
What are you talking about at all? I literally don't know. You're saying you can't make him laugh, so there should be a button where you can make him laugh instead of crouch. What the fuck are you talking about?
The best video game ever! It's just, I don't feel the need to explain my art to you, Willow. Okay. I may be incredibly tired.
Okay.
And that might be why I'm not making sense.
Okay, I'll take over then.
No, I'm not done talking about my amazing game
I
yet.
think you are.
Yeah, I think you're done. I'll tell you when you've had enough.
I'll tell you when I've had enough.
Aside from the obvious, I'd like to see a Mass Effect style game in 40k with Inquisitors. I don't really know. I guess it would be interesting to see certain things sort of done, like say certain books and things that could work well as like a Telltale style game. I think actually, you know what would probably work? Unfortunately, they wouldn't be able to get the original writer now, but say like a Discworld Telltale-esque game.
I was thinking of a
interesting.
Discworld Night's Watch game.
Yeah, because obviously
that'd be so cool.
The games that have been made currently are, two of them are based around Rincewind, who is not hugely representative of Discworld as a whole. And the other one was Discworld Noir was like its own thing. And I think I mentioned before, I have a bit of I don't really like Rob Brydon, so it kind of ruined the game a bit for me because he's the main character in that.
Yeah. So I don't like David Jason as Rincewind, so...
Well, yeah, it's Eric Idle in the fucking games,
I think
which is a much better
way
choice.
Better, yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to see a more modern take on a Discworld game, and I think a sort of Telltale-esque thing would probably be the best way to go with that, because I think anything else you run the risk of it just not really feeling great. I think that when they were made, adventure game was the best choice, the absolute best choice for that, and I think now, the Telltale style interactive story thing as sort of the modern successor to the adventure game, and so I'd like to see them do that. Yeah.
I want to see them make a Night's Watch game based on Mirror's Edge.
Okay.
So you have to run to the crime really quickly.
In fairness, there are parts where he runs across rooftops. Mr. Vimes does, so that could be a thing. Matt, what would you do?
I'm struggling because my gut reaction to this is that so many video game tie-in games that tie into a film or something are just terrible, and they kind of ruin everything.
Well, in this, I guess in this hypothetical, it would be a good game.
Can I have a very specific answer? So I want a game that totally doesn't, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't exist at the moment, but a good game based on the Spider-Man thing that I can play. So basically, I want the game that's just come out, which looks amazing, but I want that on PC so I can play it.
Yeah, no, that's completely legit.
It's a very specific answer.
Yeah, no, I get
But
that.
I'm probably never going to own a PS4, so I'm basically never going to be able to play that game because Sony aren't going to port it because they made it, or they funded it, or whatever.
Yeah, they have the licensing for it.
So yeah, I want that on PC.
Yeah, okay.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Which isn't, I don't think, entirely taking the spirit of the question.
Well, no, but whatever.
But it's the only answer that came to my head. Cool. Okay, next up we have Lawrence. If you were given an ungodly amount of money to produce either a kaiju or typical monster movie, what would it be about and what sort of monsters and or kaiju would there be?
Biolante versus Biolante.
It'd just be lots of Biolante.
And then they, at the end, they'd stop fighting and then they'd just be like total best friends.
They'd make out. It'd be the best. It'd be the best film.
They'd do loads of kissing with tongues
and tentacles.
With all this money, I'm going to just dump loads of it into realistic kissing animatronics, and it's going to be super sexy.
Not CGI, still animatronics and.
Oh yeah, you got to have the suits.
Yeah. Good.
That's what makes it so sexy. And then the secondary movie, which I'll release at the same time, will literally just be filming the people above, puppeteering each of them, just constantly bumping into each other and tripping over each other.
Have they got to be making out as well?
They're all making out as well. While actually making the monsters make it.
I kind of like this weird, sapphic clone Biolante idea you've got going.
It's so hot. It's not really a clone Biolante. It's just someone because that would be a bit incestual.
Yeah. It's just another Biolante.
It's just Biolante 2 in brackets, not related, but also it's very similar. And
is it also a dead scientist's daughter crossbred with a rose and Godzilla?
No, it's a dead daughter's scientist crossbred with a rose and a Godzilla.
Okay, that's completely different then.
That's why they're so perfect for each other. That's why they start fighting and then realise that they're just frustrated because they're so in love. Because that's healthy. No, then they stop before they start kissing and go, this trope of people who are attracted to each other, fighting is actually quite toxic.
A little bit, yeah.
And we should just actually stop fighting and just talk it out and they hash it out and they realise that they've got a lot in common. They are both giant monsters and they could both eat Godzilla without really worrying. And then they realise that they really fancy each other, so they start doing big kissing. Like all the puppeteers above them.
Yep.
And it's just really good. And it'll be subtitled as well because it's so unrealistic to have the monsters talk.
Oh, can it be like the... Can we have a scene that's... in Godzilla vs. Biolante, they were originally going to have the scene where Biolante becomes spores and shit.
Yeah.
They were going to have that be actually animated, traditionally animated. It just looked weird, so they weren't going to do it. But can we reference that and have the first kiss between them suddenly just shift to anime?
So it's going to be looking at the monster, Biolante 2 face on and then Biolante 1 face on, as they kind of they lock eyes and they realise that they just want to make out really hard, and then it's going to zoom in and then it's going to slowly fade into super anime. And then they're just going to be mwah, and do big kissing. Yeah. And then, it's going to do the same with all of the puppeteers who are tripping it over each other up top in the rafters. They're going to be all tangled round, and then they're just going to all lock eyes and be wait, let's just make out. And then it's going to do the same thing again. And then it's going to snap away really violently and just show a bunch of them just, really ugly kissing. Because it's just so passionate.
And we have another cutaway where it's claymation for no adequately
this
explained
is claymation.
reason. In other words, no one should ever give us money to make a movie.
No, give me money to make a movie. This is going to be amazing. Because I've realised I'm not even going to make 2 movies. That's just going to be cut into the main story.
Legitimately, I would kind of like to do something if I was to do something, I'd probably want to do something that has a kind of Lovecraftian vibe, but minus all the racism.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
That's kind of, if I actually did legitimately have to make one, I'd probably turn to that for inspiration.
Okay, so I'm going to do a Corruptor-Wish thing, which is an old forum game where someone goes, I wish that I had a big bucket of KFC, and the next person goes, granted, but it's cold. That kind of thing.
They corrupt your wish.
They corrupt your wish. So I'm going to go, granted, but you have to cast Vinnie Jones as the voice of the kaiju.
I'm actually totally fine with that.
That sounds great.
I'm Godzilla, bitch! Because that's what he sounds like, because he's a football man.
I mean, no part of what you said is wrong, but also I'm fine with that.
The thing is, like,
I can work with that.
He was kind of spooky in the Midnight Meat Train because he didn't talk.
Vinnie Jones is an absolutely fantastic film actor in the roles where he doesn't talk, like in Gone in 60 Seconds, where he has like one line right at the end, and people are like, "What? I thought you couldn't talk," and he's like, "I can."
Just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically have him like that, but like talking the entire time.
Yeah.
In Cockney rhyming slang. Oh, that'd be good. Voicing the voice of Godzilla. No, just basically paint him green
Okay.
and just make him wander around.
Okay, Matt. You know where every now and again I ask you to save me.
Move on. Okay.
Wow.
Right. We have a waifu and a couple of husbandos to rate.
Okay. Cool.
Hit me.
So waifu is the moon-touched girl from the game Pyre. Apparently her name's a bit tricky because it's always different. We've got a quick summary. So apparently she has a very endearing naivety about her, which makes it easy to like her. And also they just like her design.
Honestly, her design is really cool. I'm going to give her a solid 9 out of 10.
Pyre is just kind of rad. I've always meant to play it.
Yeah, they do
it's a
say
weird
also, if you get a
football
chance,
game.
definitely check out the game, because it's amazing.
I like the big, like, woman with the horns. She's amazing.
Yeah, no, she's
so cool.
if I was to select a waifu from what I have seen of the characters, then big horn lady would definitely be the one. But
It's a good job you married me.
You have antlers, they're kind of like horns.
Yeah.
but Moontouch Girl does look cool.
She looks adorable. I really like her.
I without knowing much about her, I if I knew more about her, maybe higher, but I go for definitely 7 out of 10.
I'm being really like rude and just going purely on looks and the fact that her name is super fun. So yeah, I like her.
She seems cool. Right, two husbandos.
I'm listening.
First up, we have Trans in the Infinite.
Yes, the Necron dude.
Yes, because he's just a delightful character. Apparently, we should see the Battlefleet Gothic trailer to see that.
I haven't actually got around to
I
watching
haven't
that. I will have a look.
Okay, well, I've got a summary here for if you want to know more. So
Cool.
apparently, just like Lawrence, he's a giant hoarder, and also
Yeah,
a mutual relationship with him can end up with you either getting an immortal machine body, which is pretty cool, or ending it up as a permanent piece in his collection, which is less than ideal, but.
I'm going to say those are two downsides for me. In a relation, I don't really want to live forever. That sounds really annoying. Because then I'll have to, I already, every 5 years I have to learn new slang that the kids are using, like fam and stuff, and it's like, can you imagine that forever?
Can you imagine how incomprehensible slang would be if you're 1,000 years old?
Oh, it'd be terrible. So yeah, because of slang alone, I wouldn't want to be immortal. So I'm going to give him 5 out of 10.
Honestly, like Necrons, I think are cool, but as husbandos, I'm sorry, it's going to be quite a low score. They don't want the same things I want.
I'm being very generous with my 5 out of 10, just because I have nothing personal against him. It's just we are from two different worlds.
It'd have to be like a 3.
Ooh.
Also, you'd need to get some sort of warm, soft covering for their metal peen. Otherwise,
I don't.
Well, that's where flayed ones come in.
Oh Jesus! Oh, you did not just say that. Oh, God.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. Second husbando suggestion to rate Johnny the Barbarian.
Johnny the Barbarian.
Solid 10 out of 10.
Because he had such a lovely story arc last time, but actually mostly for his ability to suddenly one-shot enemies.
Yes.
Or party members.
Or party members.
He's a good boy, is Johnny.
Now, do I answer as Nathan or do I answer as
The answer
me?
is you. We know Nathan's feelings.
Nathan's
raw sexual energy.
His barely contained sexual animal lust for Johnny.
Yes, you can tell that because they're mean to each other. God, I hate that trope. Anyway. I'm going to give him, a solid, 9 out of 10, honestly. Because, he's rough around the edges, but he's got a good heart. I'm not giving him a perfect 10 because he's actually actively, murdered people that I'm in a party with.
He didn't mean to.
They got better.
He
but still.
got better, and Johnny got better.
Okay, no, okay, I'm minusing, 1 point. because of that, but
Doesn't
also
bathe enough.
But also because he does not bathe enough, and he gives Nathan shit all the time for never for bathing frequently. And also he thinks it's a good idea to strip down buck ass naked, cover himself in grease, and just slide through the mayor's abode on his butt.
Look, there's at least 5 different reasons why I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm still going to go for 9 out of 10. But no, that was a great question. Thank you. That was a great husband.
What do you rate my character, the DM?
I'm giving Johnny a solid 10, to be honest. Because I like the fact that he isn't like... He's like, I'm going to be a bard now. And it makes sense story-wise. It doesn't make sense stat-wise. It would probably not be that great. But story-wise, it's basically perfect. So I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. And that gives him a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yay.
Now I'm kind of like sitting there kind of really worrying, like, I hope Nathan would score high. He wouldn't. People would give him a 6 out of pity.
So, look,
poor boy.
Sometimes, at being a 6 out of 10, Nathan is a 10 out of 10.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. 6 out of 10 times.
6 out of 10 times is a 10 out of 10.
At being a 6 out of 10.
And all those times are basically when he's asked about himself.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were, before this podcast, we were like, we haven't got much to talk about.
Okay, we've got one more. Oh, there.
Okay.
Lawrence has one last thing. It's not a question, but just wanted to share the knowledge that there is a fish species named boops boops.
Yes, there
boops.
is.
Yes, there are, and I love boops boops.
And they are amazing.
Yeah, they're called boops.
It makes
not boop
it
boops.
Makes
like boop.
Yeah.
It isn't
Boops,
a singular
boops.
boop. And then the plural it's a boops boops.
Yeah, because
Yes.
it's like fish.
Yeah.
It's like a fish.
Yeah.
And it is fantastic. I remember like finding that out and checking it on Wikipedia to see if it was real and going, yes, it is. The world is a slightly better place.
They are boops boops.
I love boops.
All right.
Boops.
Last set of questions. Saracenian emailed in.
Okay.
I got into Warhammer and miniature painting in general quite recently, and your channel has been a great gateway into that. So thanks for that.
Well,
Thank you, and we're sorry.
They're sharing a couple of the models they've painted so far, if you would like to have a look-see.
Sure.
Yes. Check them over.
I shall try to describe them for the listening audience as best I can.
Oh, wow. Those are very cool.
Yeah, seriously, for saying you've just started, those are incredibly neat. And yeah, well done. Those are pretty great. But yeah, they painted up a bunch of Space Marines and a bunch of Striking Scorpions and those Howling Banshees? Bunch of Eldar, basically. I'm not good with Eldar names, but no, those are really well done.
Very good. Like, Jesus, you don't want to see my first attempts.
I mean, hell, I've shown my first attempts and they were fucking shocking. But
you've done amazing there.
Yeah, really well done.
Okay. And on a related note, what are some of the minis that you've been most proud of making and painting yourself?
If I ever get round to finishing it, then my War Boss will probably be it, because that's mostly scratch built. Before that, probably the Shock Attack Gun Big Mech that I showed off in my army video, because again, that was largely scratch built, and that's probably the single model that I'm the most proud of, because also the paint job's pretty good on it. Hopefully I can do a better one on my War Boss. I've got some paint on him and he's looking quite good so far. And that's probably the one I'm most proud of overall. Snipe?
I've not really built any myself. Well, like, I haven't custom built anything myself. Like, the most I do is make hair less stupid by cutting most of it off. But I'm really loving my knight right now. Like, my Imperial
Yeah, your knight looks cool.
Really
I like it. And I know it's not finished, but...
No. I am getting... I put a bunch of wash on the silver, so it's getting there.
It's getting there.
But no, I'm really proud of that one, and I love all my Dreadnought boys.
Yeah, for one you finished, what about Luca?
My Venerable.
Your Forge-World Venerable.
I do love him very much. Just anything that involves like a large amount of fur. My Thunderwolf Cavalry, I really enjoy doing those. I just like painting fur. Because if I can do it, why not?
It's probably why you finished painting the wolves and then haven't got around to finishing the Marines.
Painted. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, John, Matt, what about you?
A lot of my models I got off eBay. So modding them is quite tricky because they've already been various, stuck together.
Well, I mean,
things.
let's be honest. Lefty is golden demon level conversion.
Yeah, Lefty is great, but I can't take credit for Lefty.
No.
For people that don't remember, because we did mention him in a very early video on the channel, Matt has a fire warrior that the previous owner, tried to modify to look like they were standing on a rock, but some part of that was confusing or difficult for them, so they just cut the leg off at the knee.
Well, it's
and just put the
somewhere
rock
halfway down the shin.
Yeah, it's about.
It is down
just above the ankle.
But basically, they have a rock where the foot should be.
He has like
now.
a massive club foot.
So yeah, he just has the world's largest club foot, or he's got like a really bad infection in his hoof.
Yeah.
And yes, we call him Lefty.
Lefty's the best.
Lefty's amazing. He's so good.
I like our idea from when we were playing that, so that when we kill him, I'll get another model which is just a base and as close to similar rock as it can be, and then when you kill him, it can just leave his rock foot behind on the battlefield.
It sounds amazing.
But a couple of conversions that I did do is nothing too elaborate, but with my broadsides, which are the tail battle suits, which have two big railgun things. The models used to have them on the shoulders, so you'd have to spin if it was a real model, you'd have to spin round and aim with your shoulders, and I just thought that was fucking stupid. So I converted one to be holding his railgun like a sniper, and then made the barrel longer, and another one with a shorter barrel held like a big heavy chain gun type thing. Because I just preferred them looking like that, and it made more sense to me.
Yeah.
And since now
good.
the new models do hold the gun like a sensible, so I'm just like, oh, so I did all this, and now it just looks like a not quite as good version of what the models are usually now.
Yeah, but you did it first, so that's...
Yeah, you were ahead of the curve.
I'm not saying I like it because I was like, oh yeah, it was cooler when I did it. It's just, yeah, I quite liked it. Because they were really stupid before.
And they are legitimately, I do think your conversions look significantly better than the models that you actually were based on,
Yeah.
So you should feel proud they were good.
And my painting, I'm proud that I finished some of it. Beyond that, and they're definitely they're battlefield, but they look absolutely fine in a big batch. If you get too close to them, I'm not particularly artistic. So the fact that they look fine from a normal distance when you're playing, I'm quite proud of. Even though if you look closely, I'm not ashamed at all. But I'm not I wouldn't go out the way to show people. But I'm quite proud that I managed to make them look vaguely coherent as a bunch from a distance.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's 90% of it, really.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
If you just got most stuff painted to a similar level, and it's not just a blob, then it can look as an army. It can look quite striking.
Yeah.
So I think that's in a lot of ways is more important, than having each one being individually a fucking masterpiece. Just having a group that are all painted to the same level. Can in and of itself be a really cool thing to see.
Righto. Very last question. On a related note, where would you say the best place to share photos and discussion of painted minis is? They're aware of Daka Daka and Cool Mini or not, but don't know enough about either or any alternatives.
Daka Daka, I used that for a while. It's pretty good.
It used to be alright. That's all I can say. Many years since I've been there. I've heard very mixed things about them. The only one I currently use, and it's not really for painting, it's more for conversion, is there's a group on Facebook called 40k Converters. That is alright.
Yeah, I'd say probably, Facebook's probably good, because I follow 40k subreddits, and they are majority of the time they're dumpster fires, quite frankly.
Quite a lot of Facebook is, honestly, as well.
Yeah, when you said
Reddit.
Facebook is quite good, I was like, well, that sentence is just inherently wrong.
Well, no, compared to Reddit, dude.
I'm not even sure that's true.
Yeah.
I like the bits of Reddit I go on are quite good.
Yeah. I think
bits of Reddit I go on are pretty decent. I stick to my subs, but occasionally you'll see something that's just so fucking horrible or nasty, and it just makes you lose all faith in everything.
I think
when someone will literally just upload a picture of... I saw someone was like, oh yeah, check out my amazing Slanesh demon, and it was literally just an anime figure, an anime hentai figure that they'd painted purple, and people were like, yeah, ooh, look at the tits on that. I was like, what the fuck did I walk into? It was just the most It's like if you told me it was like an elaborate like performance piece, I'd believe you. It was just so stupid.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of places are kind of bad. You just got to try and find little pockets of it. I'm not 100% sure where is a good place anymore because
we don't know.
I think since we started doing the 40k YouTube thing, miniatures just happen at us whether we look for it or not.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like our Discord's a pretty good place.
Yes, our Discord does have people sharing their.
We do
their
have
miniatures.
a miniatures thread that is really good and amazing. So
Yes,
come join us and say hi.
But yeah, I can't really help much more than that. I just follow a bunch of people. Most of the stuff I see is just from me following people on Twitter who end up liking. Or retweeting good models, and I'm just like, yeah, that's some good models, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I'm too old and set in my ways to ask for help from anyone. So,
okay, that's fine.
And that is it. We are caught up with questions.
Yay! We finished the backlash of questions.
An hour and a half later, or however long it's been.
Yeah, it took at least 3 hours.
It's fine once it's been through the editing and we cut out like at least 15
seconds,
maybe 5% of the waffle, then it'll be down to at least not as absurdly long.
Well, I mean, we can hope. But yeah, no, I think we did pretty well.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. And so did you, dear listeners.
For today. Yes, dear listener, you're amazing. You're still here.
If you're still here, you've done better than us. Because I'm half not here.
Because we're not here.
We checked out an hour ago.
Honestly, I've been fading in and out of consciousness, but yeah.
But yeah, so thank you very much for listening.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I've been Snipe, he's been Wib, and he's been Drummer Match. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.